This week's Chef Spotlight is on Sam Blackburn, a member of West Texas Chef's Table. That's the group that helped Panhandle PBS with a farm-to-table dinner series we call Savor the Goods. Blackburn's day job consists of leading a team that produces thousands of meals each week.
For me, a lot of times when I'm training my staff in a restaurant, you're not selling food to customers, you're creating experiences for guests. And that's really what, I look at it as, whether it's here in the hospital or in a restaurant. Sam Blackburn, I'm the executive chef at Northwest Texas Healthcare System. I work for Sodexo, which is a global company that we actually manage the food service here at Northwest. From Amarillo, Texas, born and raised, actually born in this hospital. I would say at least minimum of 500 people pass through our cafeteria on a given day, and it could be anywhere between 500 to 800 to 1,000. It just kind of depends. We start meal service at 6:30 in the morning, so we serve breakfast from 6:30 to 10, and then we do lunch service from 11 to 2, some extended till 3, and then we actually keep our cafe open until 1:30 in the morning. We have a whole package program called Simply to Go that we make in-house. So we try to offer a wide variety of stuff for our staff here. The ways that I've tried to change it just from my time here, I started in December 2016 at Northwest. Sodexo actually took the food service over here. And the first observation that I had was that we needed better production system for our patient food. So I actually rewrote all of our patient menus. Obviously I coordinated that with our dietitians and everybody that's in the clinical nutrition side, and implemented new menus for all the diets. We have a person that's in this role called the patient ambassador, and they actually go up to the rooms for people that they do rounding with our patients, and also try to get people off of non-select diets that maybe don't have to be on one. So people that are having a hard time ordering, or that can't read the menu or can't physically get to the menu, and they kind of walk them through and say, would you like a freshly cooked burger? Or we make, we have a whole omelet selection. We do breakfast tacos, omelets. There's all sorts of different stuff that you wouldn't expect on a hospital menu. Two things that we do daily with our staff. In the morning, we do a culinary planning meeting. We go over the menu for the day, and then we go over also tomorrow's menu, any stuff that is gonna create any kind of disruption for us. And then we talk about tomorrow's menu. So that's early in the morning, and then 11 o'clock, whenever all the food's ready for lunch, we actually pull everybody in, all of our cooks, and we taste all the food together every day. I decided to go to summer school 2 years in a row so I could graduate a year early, thinking that I wanted to go to St. John's in Santa Fe and become a lawyer eventually. But I think that really subconsciously I was kind of setting the path for myself to be in the restaurant business. St. John's is a really involved curriculum. There's only 2 campuses in the United States, and it's a curriculum that's based on the works of Western civilization. Like, you learn basics you learn Greek and French your first 2 years, and French the second 2 years, and they base everything, like your math starts with Euclid. I was doing really well, and was really struggling with the fact that I couldn't cook or work in a restaurant, so I dropped out. Both my parents were a little bit shocked, to say the least. They just sent me off to Santa Fe to go to I just wrote like a 20-page thesis statement to get into St. John's, and so they're like, been here 3 months, all right, good luck. I just turned 18, so I got an apartment on my own and came back and worked at Zen as the lead cook, and shortly after that I went to Lincoln's restaurant for a while, and that's where I realized that I really wanted to pursue the career in the culinary arts. I applied to Scottsdale Culinary Institute in Scottsdale, Arizona. From there, the rest was history. Through West Texas Chef's Table, I've developed so many relationships that I treasure and cherish, because they're really, chefs are kind of nuts. So I'm really just constantly reminded, by how lucky I am, fortunate I am to be associated with the people that have been doing these events.
Blackburn shares something in common with rancher Alan Birkenfeld of Nazareth. They both changed career courses to follow their hearts. Birkenfeld provided meat for Blackburn's Savor the Goods menu.
I'm not going to lie, whenever I graduated from Nazareth, the only road I wanted to be on was the one out of town. I thought I was never going to come back to this place, but when you get out and experience the world and realize that, man, a lot of the things I really want in life were right back there. It's nice that you can come back and have a place where your roots are and your family's still here, and you can you can call it home still. I'm Alan Birkenfeld, and we are here at the headquarters of Paidom Meats in Nazareth, Texas. Everything we do comes from the sun and the land. And I wanted to tie it also back to the people that were here. And before our German ancestors came over, it was the Comanche and Kiowa tribes were here. I didn't know any Comanche, but I knew one Kiowa Indian, and he said their words for sun and land were pie and dome, and hence the name Paidom Meats. Well, I came back from getting my master's degree in Utah in 1994, and at the time I was single and really didn't have a plan for what I was going to do. I just realized that I no longer thought becoming a professor was for me. I had these ideas about ruminants on pasture, and that's where they needed to be, and since I had nothing to really hold me back, when I came back here for my sister's wedding, I decided to stay and try some of these ideas. And when my dad asked me what I was going to do, he had pretty much already parted ways with all the equipment, with all the siblings who were staying around here, and so there really wasn't a land base or an equipment base to start with, which, looking back on that, that was very fortunate for me because it allowed me to go a different way. So he leased me this draw behind us, and that's where I started with 11 cows on September the 28th of 1994. And I'll still remember his words about this not being cow country, because we were mostly feeder country where we brought in calves from the outside, from southeast Texas or southeast US, and fed them out on pasture till they were ready to go to the feed yard. Our grass is not a lot of it, but it's very good nutrition, so it's good for that. And as he said, there's a reason you don't see a lot of cows in this country, but now you do. Things have changed since then. I would talk with these professors at various colleges that I was at and just ask them, you know, here we were taking an animal, namely a bovine, a calf that could go and take a roughage that we couldn't consume and convert it into something that we could consume, i.e. meat. And here we were taking it and putting it in a yard, confining it and feeding it grains that we could utilize. And its system was designed, ecologically speaking, for something entirely different. You know, it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I realized how that whole system came about after World War II, but I think there's people who would rather have an animal raised a different way. And I love free enterprise, I love choice. I don't badmouth the feedlots, and I hope they don't badmouth what I'm doing. I think people vote every day when they take $1 out of their pocket and they buy something. They're saying make more of that. Our livestock don't get any antibiotics. We don't even vaccinate. We go that far because we run a fairly closed system, and I've never had any problems in what are we going on, 20-some years. I've never had a problem with an animal dying of blackleg or things you vaccinate for. So in that sense, I believe we're organic. We also go beyond organic in that we're grass-fed, and that everything is finished out on pasture. It doesn't go to a feedlot. It doesn't consume a grain ration. So you get a cut of meat, and this is not me talking here. This is the research that has more nutrients. It's higher in omega-3 fatty acids, higher in conjugated linoleic acid, higher in a lot of the vitamins and minerals that people want in their food. And again, I'm not telling people that this is the end-all and be-all of meat. We just tell people what we do, how we raise them, and if that's what you want, then come see us. But the first thing I feel like we really sell is a relationship to where people know who grew the food, how it was grown, and if we violate that relationship, then you aren't going to want to buy from us anymore. So I feel like it's about trust. I think inherently people want a connection. I think there's some farmer in all of us. You see it, one of the biggest growth areas of agriculture is urban farming. People are more into gardening. New York City, they're growing on their rooftops. You know, people just want a connection to that food, and there's some joy in being able to harvest something you grew and put it on your table.
Where do you get that connection that you're talking about?
I guess it came from the way I was raised, and I hope I can impart that on my kids as well. But having grown up Dad always, he was very big into diversity. He wanted they started with just this old dairy barn here and then went on to, and he had a crop system, but he added cattle, he added a custom harvesting operation and a custom cattle hauling, livestock hauling business. But I think he instilled a lot of that in us as kids. We all had to work our way through that dairy barn and hopefully graduate from there and move on to something that was a little more appealing part of agriculture. But I think every one of us, all 12 of us kids, had a piece of that in our hearts, and that's why, you know, anytime we have a family gathering, we try to get together here at the home place because this is where we all grew up. And again, I think that's something that's somehow in every human, whether they realize it or not, there's a little bit of agriculture in you. And as far as being out here and being able to grow things, see the fruits of your labor come to life, or to weep with the land when it's dry and parched and cracking, or to, you just become a place. And I guess that's what I've become. This place is me, this place is my family, and it's not so big that we can't walk across it in a day. So like I say, we weep when the land weeps, we rejoice when it rejoices.
Now, meet Danny Melius, a former software developer who farms his back and front yards, plus other locations in Amarillo. Melius harvested produce for Blackburn's plates.
At first, yeah, they'll look at us funny, or they look at me funny, like, what are you doing? Oh, putting in the garden, we're gardening, farming, stuff like that. But after I explain it to them, they get it. And they're like, oh man, that's a great idea. Thanks for doing it here in San Jacinto and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. I'm Danny Melius. I'm a market gardener, and we're at my 6th Street plot, which I farm in conjunction with Square Mile Community Development. I garden for produce to sell to the public. I started market gardening my front and backyard in 2016. Fall of 2016, I started talking with Brady Clark, the executive director of Square Mile, to start providing them with produce when they opened up a market here in San Jacinto. That's a long-term goal for them. We agreed to provide them with produce, probably at a discount, because they're a nonprofit and, you know, we're doing some good here. In the meantime, they were donated 2 plots of land, which you see behind us. And Brady reached out again and was like, I know we talked about the market and providing us with produce, but what do you think about farming? These 2 plots we got donated. It was a little crazy, you know, everybody was kind of like, you're doing what? And I was kind of the same way. I was like, really, am I gonna do this? I was gardening for myself. I was just a hobby gardener and I wanted to get better at it. So I started listening to a podcast called Permaculture Voices. And they had a series with this guy named Curtis Stone who farms up in British Columbia, the Kewah Valley, on 1/3 of an acre on land he doesn't own in an urban setting, and he grosses $100,000. And I was kind of blown away by that podcast, and it turns out he wrote a book, so I bought it and started reading it and started implementing his systems in my backyard on a small scale just to see if I could do it. Right as I was finishing that garden and planting and stuff, Hastings, my former employer, gave me notification that I might not have a job in 60 days because they were filing for bankruptcy. And so the idea was to start selling eventually. The timeline was just pushed up severely. We grow mostly greens, so we got Swiss chard, mustard greens, collard greens. We do 3 salad mixes now. One's just a gourmet salad mix with a variety of loose leaf lettuce. We have our, what I call the spring mix, which is kale, arugula, mizuna, and tatsoi all together in a mix. And my new salad mix is what I call the heat wave salad mix. It's a variety of 5 head lettuces that I cut early so that they're leafy, but they're all heat tolerant, so they grow much better here in this climate. Right now, in my 2nd year, we've matched sales for last year already. And we're profitable, and I can keep my house and feed my family, and do some good for Square Mile at the same time, and provide food for other people, healthy food, good food, fresh food. So yeah, I mean, right now I'm successful. I just want to improve.